if this AI will come to life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our new show, The Hype, where we discuss topics that are all the hype. I'm your host, Nadeem, and you're watching us on CGTN.com, our CGTN mobile app, and on CGTN social media accounts across all platforms. We would love to hear from you throughout our discussion today, so make sure to leave us comments and hashtag us, The Hype, so we could know what you're saying about us. Today's episode is about rural revitalization, one of the most important topics in China today, and it's all about transforming the countryside, diversifying rural economy, and retaining, attracting, and nourishing talent. And the entire point of it is to promote the development of villages as well as the living standards of villagers. And sure, policymaking is a great pillar in this drive, but also the contributions and efforts of the younger generation. Which brings me to today's guests. We have Wang Xingyu with us.
Hi.
The founder of Beyond the City, which is a social enterprise connecting cities and villages across China. And we have Mern Al Nasser, a host of many shows centered on rural tourism and rural culture, as well as a recent graduate of law from the prestigious Renmin University of China.
What an intro.
Thank you both for being here today, and I'm so looking forward to hearing what you have to say and your experiences in the countryside. And if you look around us, that's exactly where we are.
Thank you for having us in your village, if I may say.
It's a village, I would say. Does it look like any of the villages that you've been to, Xingyu?
Yeah, it's like the place I started my business in
Okay.
Shaanxi, Hunan province.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll talk more about this, but before we start our human discussion, we're going to turn to AI
Wow.
and see what they perceive in terms of the Chinese countryside, because we've asked, because you know, right now, AI is all the buzz. Everyone's talking about AI. So we decided to jump on that bandwagon and see what two AI image generators perceive as if we give them the prompt of a Chinese countryside. So we have one AI generator from China and another developed abroad. And I want you to look at this image and tell me, what do you think?
Wow. Well, first of all, they're
Wow.
really beautiful, aren't they?
Yeah, one is water paint and one is the ink paint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that how close it is to reality, though?
I think the other one, like the one with the head green scenery,
Yeah.
looks closer to reality.
Yeah.
And I think that might be like more depicted in what a international person would perceive as ink. I would say like a painting
Yeah.
of
I mean,
nature.
they definitely don't look so realistic. They definitely look
Something you
like
dream
it's
about.
artistic. So which one do you think is developed by a Chinese AI and which one is by a foreign AI?
I think the one in black is
Yeah.
definitely a Chinese AI,
What
right?
do you think, Xinyu?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it is. It does have like that.
The water ink
Painting.
painting
The
kind
water-
of thing.
And then the
Yeah.
other one is, I think, by
Yeah, it's a Chinese style.
ChatGPT. Yeah. All right. Well, I think it wasn't that bad, but also not as realistic as it is if you actually visit a.
Yeah, no comparison, is
I,
it?
I'm not only visited that.
Yeah.
I was based in the village.
Yeah. Well,
I just flew from Yunnan province, Pu'er.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. How was your trip?
How was my trip? Oh, it's so cold in here in Beijing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're lucky to have you here in Beijing.
Yunnan is known for its like beautiful weather.
I mean, Yunnan.
Yeah,
is,
Yunnan is
is beautiful in southwest China.
always like spring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're about to hit spring in Beijing.
We're
Just
in
a
spring
few-
now. Look at our look at our.
Well, I mean,
look at our
currently
village.
right
We're
now,
spring
yeah. But I
now.
mean, if you look outside the window, we just need a few more weeks. So I want to go. We have this icebreaker activity where we're just gonna go really fast and then say the first word that comes to our mind when I say a village.
Oh, fresh.
Fresh. Okay. Xingyu.
Kindness.
Kindness. Okay.
Kindness.
I would say simplicity. Verna.
Fruit.
Veggie.
Okay. Well, I mean, if everyone's
Fresh
going with
fruit.
this, farming. Verna. Come on.
I said fruit already.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Third round.
Third round.
Stars. When you're like sleeping at night, you get to see the stars in the beautiful
Okay.
skies.
Okay. Xingyu. Okay. I'll
Of
take
Of course,
that. I'll take that.
sunlight in the morning. Yeah, sunlight in
Okay.
the morning.
Okay.
I guess I'm gonna say potential. I'm just gonna be different than you guys because we're
Potential. Okay. Folk music.
folk music.
Folk
Okay,
music.
Xingyu.
Yeah, tradition.
Tradition. Okay. Simplicity. I would have to say simplicity because I think going back to the village is just going back to a simpler time, to a simple life, simple people. I don't know. Do you agree, Xingyu?
Yeah. They're kind and generous. They're all simplicity.
Yeah.
Everywhere in the village you can find.
Right. So
Tranquility.
tranquility. Okay.
You guys all threw me with like big words, and I said fruit and fresh and stars.
I mean, listen. This is like on a short moment's notice, so
You can see what I'm thinking
yeah,
about in a day.
It's all right. It's okay.
Large
Better
words.
luck next time. Xingyu, I want to start with you because I just recently learned about like your backstory. I know you studied in Fudan University,
Yeah.
which is one of the best universities in Shanghai and China. Then you left to study in
NYU, yeah.
And so people of your age, people of our age, they want to pursue a career in big cities, right?
Yeah.
Because that's where like the big opportunities are, the big money. Let's be real, money makes the world go round. But you decided to go against the grain and then relocate to the village and focus your efforts for rural development and rural, just promoting rural life. Why is that?
Yeah, people are always shocked and very confused why I choose to go back to the village.
Yeah.
I spent 6 years before study international relations before I come back to the rural parts.
Yeah.
But actually, they're in one rule or in one route because it's all about the stance of equality. Yeah. When I was studying international relations, international politics, I
Yeah.
find that I believe in all men are created equal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I come back to do some field study or field work in the village, and I find I love that.
Okay.
So I just established my social enterprise called Beyond the City.
Yeah.
And we're trying to bridge the cities and the rural parts through education. We have brought about tens of thousands city teenagers and city youths to the rural parts to do investigations and some volunteer trips.
Okay.
And then we also sponsored thousands of the rural kids to go to the cities to
Okay.
explore their future careers.
What's the feedback like from the kids?
Yeah, they change a lot and they become, it's broadened their horizons and they are willing to dream high, to aim high. Yeah.
Are we talking about the city kids who go to the village, or are we talking
The
about the
rural kids to go to the cities.
I want to talk more about the rural kids visiting the cities because I think it's such a special thing. Because normally it's the city folks who visit the village for tourism, to learn more about folk, folk culture or like folk
Right,
traditions.
right.
Yeah.
Like you, Myrna, for example.
I did.
Yes, you did. And
Yes,
you
I
did
did.
a couple of years back. You've done this very beautiful documentary.
Life-changing experience.
Was it? I want to hear more about it. You went to Sichuan province
I did,
and
yeah.
you investigated and learned, because we spoke about education, seeing you learned about the musical heritage
Yes.
of the Qiang
Qiang
ethnic minority, one of the 56 ethnic minorities
Qiang.
in China.
Yeah,
where-
Abba.
Yes, in
Yeah,
Abba.
but-
Yeah, oh, he knows.
Oh, he knows.
Yeah.
Let's watch a few clips from your documentary and
Is
then
there
we'll discuss
a clip,
a little
really?
bit. Yeah.
Oh. I'm so excited to see this. 我是热爱中国文化的开心果米娜，我现在要去中国很古老的一个村寨，看看那里的人是怎么样生活的。我觉得在水里动的
不够。
动物是要出来了。
啊，你吸出来没有？
酸酸的。
Sour. was it alcohol?
No, it was juice.
Oh, it was juice.
The grannies were my best friends.
I bet. I mean, I've watched this show a couple of times, and the relationship that you've had with everyone, but especially that one grandma
That
who
one
really
grandma.
wanted to help you with like that instrument.
Yes.
What was it like? What
It's
is that
called-
instrument?
Like I said, the Chang ethnic minority.
Yeah.
Okay, they're amazing. Not much people used to know about them, and I didn't know much about them
Yeah.
either. But when I went and I met them, they don't have a written language.
Okay.
So they have given like the traditions of their culture and their language through oral teaching.
Okay.
And then oral teaching was
And
part of
they're
it.
using music to help
Yes,
with
music
that.
and nature is really connected to them, and that mouse string, it's called It's called a mouse string, basically mouse string. And then the granny showed me that you put it in your mouth, and I tried for like days, and it just wouldn't make a sound.
So let me explain a little bit. It's a piece of bamboo that is very
with like a string on it.
thin, and then she puts it on her mouth, and then there's a string. She uses the string with like mouth movements. She knew
just
to
keep-
like make a sound, and she took on herself. Myrna took on herself to
Yes.
try to learn it, and I have to say, she did not succeed.
I did not, but let me tell you
But-
the best thing about it.
The granny,
Yes, the granny.
the granny, tell me.
Well, first of all, can I say a mouse string is something that if a guy loves you,
Yeah.
he will make one for you.
Okay.
Wow.
Yes, I tried the one that the granny had because no one would make one for me.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Well, not yet.
Not
No,
yet.
not
But
yet,
the
not
the granny was like, "Why are you leaving?" I was like, "My journey here has ended."
She's like, no.
She's like, "No, let me introduce you to my grandson."
Oh,
Whoa,
really? Is that
really?
what it was?
It really was.
Okay, I thought she wanted you to stay so she can teach you the instrument itself.
It
But I
was-
thought she had hope.
It was one of the reasons.
Oh,
it was
okay.
one of the reasons.
So she wanted you to marry her grandson.
She was like, "I'll introduce you, and you'll become like a daughter-in-law for Chang ethnic
and
minority."
then your answer was like, no thanks.
I was like, "I'll think." I was like, "I'll think about it."
And you've still been thinking about it for 3 years.
So did you see her grandson?
No.
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 But she was like, she said it in such a positive way. She's like, "I have many." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Many.
Yeah.
You can choose. Yeah.
So
Pick one.
that aside, why did you decide, well, I mean, a potential husband aside.
Nice.
Why did you decide to actually take on that documentary? Like, what made you feel like this is
Like drawn to it.
Yeah, like a thing that you would want to do.
Right. When I was in school, basically, President Xi Jinping wrote a letter to international students studying in Beijing, and he told them, I remember it so well. He said, 百闻不如一见, which means you can read a book for like 1,000 times about this culture or this place, but why not go? And seeing it is believing
Yeah,
it.
that's
so
true.
so I was like, if I have the opportunity to go somewhere not much people have been to, why not take the chance and go? And it was a life-changing experience.
We're seeing a lot of excitement from Myrna, and I have to say that when I visited Chinese villages in Yunnan and Sichuan, I was as excited as Myrna is. Both of us are city folks.
Yeah.
The people that you deal with, the youngsters who are from the city
Yeah.
going to the village, are they as excited or is there a bit of hesitation? Like, tell me, what are they going through? What's going through their mind?
Yeah, some of them are excited to explore the world they are not familiar to, but
Okay.
some of them are just do some papers for applying for the universities
Yeah.
maybe later.
Okay.
Extra
Yeah.
credit.
Okay.
To add some
So
credit.
their heart isn't quite there, but they still want to do it.
Yeah, but after they go into the village,
Yeah.
They're deeply moved by the tradition, by the culture, by the atmosphere in the village. So after they come back from the village, they all devoted to do something for the villagers. So
Okay.
so
So you're
that
making
is
a
my
change.
part.
There is a change that you're making in these kids' life. Like, even if they're just visiting for
I think
a
that it's
bit.
not I'm making a change for the
You're
kids' life.
facilitating, yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe it's the countryside or the villages. They
Okay.
are changing us. Yeah, changing me and my students.
Do you think that anything changed you now that you're speaking about change? Do you think like your experience visiting that Sichuan village, but also I know that you visited other villages, including in Tibet. Do you think that there's any memory that you remember that stayed with you to this day, Myrna?
Of course, absolutely.
Grandson.
The grandson, who I have
Just
not
joking.
met yet. Yeah. When I was there, I come from the city. I'm on social media a lot. I can hear a lot of different noises coming from everywhere. But when I went there and I talked to them, they were living their true self. They were living so authentically. In a sense, it's like our ancestors gave us so much traditions. We live in this place and we're proud of it. And we have our music, we have our life. we will just keep teaching the best things to the future generations. And that was so pure to me, because I feel like living in any big city in the world, you get a lot of outside noises from people coming with different opinions and different everything. But staying there with them, they were just happy with their own music, with their traditions, and they want to teach it to you. So I'm just like, if one day I can like take this story and share it to more people, I hope that is like, I hope I can share it in the most authentic way possible.
But that's exactly what you did with your documentary.
I hope so. And I was just having fun, and I really wanted the world to see how it
And I think it really translated, especially when you said you're having fun, it looked like you're having fun because the relationship that you had with them was very effortless. It was very natural. Even though you are a stranger, it just felt like they took you in. I could see the grannies hugging you.
Yes.
I see like you, at one point you high-fived an 80-year-old man who was teaching you how to sing, right?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
And so I think like the purity, like the word purity that you used, I think it really resonates with me because I think that the most authentic people who are true to themselves that I've met are from the village side. They don't like, they're not pretentious.
Living their natural life.
I'm pretty sure that you've seen, they welcome you with open hands, even when they don't have much to offer, which is something that we've seen before in Kweijo, which is one of the very poor areas in Daliangshan back in 2019 when I went there to do a documentary about poverty and the poverty alleviation project that China had. They had very little, and the village that I went to over the course of 2 years is actually a very severe case of poverty compared to, I guess, the villages that you've been to. But with the little that they had, I remember in 2019, they slaughtered 2 chickens for us. And this is like from a family where normally they just eat buckwheat and they eat potatoes. So to honor their guests, including myself, they slaughtered 2 chickens, which I was like, it was a goosebump moment for me because I was like, the generosity, the hospitality of it all. And so
and
it's
you
something
feel you have the responsibility to maybe do something for them.
I mean, I think what I did is, for me, I think what I did is something that I'm very proud of is showing their life, because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about people in the countryside, especially poor people in the countryside. And I think that that's something that you're trying to tackle as well with your enterprise, because one of your mission statements is understand rural areas, build rural areas, and serve rural areas. So can you tell me a little bit more about the understanding part?
Yeah, I mean, understanding the rural area is not about maybe just to enjoy the landscapes or the beautiful views. I think it's more about maybe put ourselves in their shoes, to try to resonate with their lives. And sometimes we city people always think that the rural people, they're maybe short-sighted, they're not hardworking. That's not true.
No.
Yeah, under their condition or under their circumstances, you're not do anything better than them.
So what are some of the activities that you're doing with your enterprise beyond the city to help clear out that misunderstanding or try to let city people better understand?
We are trying to convey opinion that before we have the intention to help, we should have the intention to understanding. For example, I was graduate from NYU, and at the very beginning, I think maybe with the prestige of a top credential, and with the aim to help the village, I can easily do anything in the village and do some transformations. But actually,
reality is harder.
The reality is really hard, and this top-down like approach to the village didn't make anything, and it made me our work very inefficient. And at that time, I find maybe my job is to convey an opinion that we should first understanding the countryside and to persuade them to believe us, to make friends with us. So we just have a pig slaughtering feast.
A pig slaughtering feast.
Yeah.
You know, food brings people together.
You had slaughtered chickens for your feast.
They slaughtered chicken for me. Okay, so tell me more about this feast.
Yeah, so at that feast, we bring 50 city guys to the village, and we welcome gathered about 200 local people together.
Wow.
We celebrate the Spring Festival.
Okay, so we've had slaughtered chicken on my side. He slaughtered pigs.
Yeah.
Welcome
What did you
all
slaughter?
rural friends to Arab world. You can sacrifice sheep.
Okay, is that what they sacrificed for you in like Sichuan?
No.
No.
No, I had really good food. I had really good food there, I remember, but like it was huge. Like the portions that they
Yeah.
have was huge. And they grow everything themselves. So they keep telling you like it's organic, it's healthy.
Okay.
Organic?
Which is something.
Oh, yeah.
I don't doubt.
Yeah,
I really
I bet.
don't doubt. So we were speaking about misunderstanding. Did you have, before going into your documentary, or any other documentaries that you've made in the countryside, including, as I mentioned earlier, in Tibet, did you have any expectations walking into a new place, especially in a rural area? Or did like, just walk me through what you were thinking just moments before you headed there?
Oh, because it was a long journey.
Yeah.
Basically, I've heard that they have like a lot of intangible cultural heritage situations there happening. It might be a festival, might be music related, so it's all culturally involved.
Yeah.
So I'm a big music lover. So
Yeah.
when I heard they have the instrument that I showed you, the mouth string, and they also have something called it's in Chinese called the 多声部, which is singing on different notes, which is the men in the documentary were showing
The high
us.
five guy.
The high five guy, yeah, the one I high five. He actually, like when I went on the internet, I was like, I've never seen this kind of performance. And as a music lover, I felt very drawn to it. So after going there and meeting them, they explained to me that it is something very like important to them. The way they sing, the way they dance to music, the way they play their instruments. But like you saw in my documentary, it was all elderly doing that.
I want to ask you this.
Yeah.
So they're elderly.
Yes.
They're the inheritors of this intangible culture. What is going to happen afterwards? Like, are there new students, new recruits? What is the situation?
I was very confused too. I was like, this is so cool. Like, but as a young generation person, like, would your future generation want to continue? And they said the government there really pushes for them to give classes and give lectures. And one of the men that I met in the documentary, he goes on tour. He takes his students and goes on tour just to like gather more students to share this. And he explained that preserving this is something that gives him a lot of pride. So hopefully the future generations want to learn it, and the kids do want to learn it.
And I think that it's very important because it is related to culture. Yeah. And we see across the world cultures dying, languages dying, traditions dying. So the fact that you have this 80-year-old man training you or any other youngster, even for like the period of your documentary, the willingness to share that information with you, for you to publicize it and, talk about it 3 years on, I think that's very sublime.
He shared something I'll never forget that day.
What is?
He was like, oh, I've had another like international student before. She came here to visit me. I was like, really? He was like, yeah, she's so big. I was like, oh. And then he was like, yeah, but because she had really good like musical stuff, but I remember she was so big. And I was like, okay, well, are you still in contact? He's like, yeah. I hope nobody watches this. But yeah, it was a very fun moment
I thought like
for me.
he was going to drive home a certain message, but like he just described the way she looks. Okay.
I was shocked. I was like, oh, so a lot of like foreign friends, he's like, at least a couple foreign international friends went there, some to learn the instruments and some to learn the singing, which I was like, oh, I'm not the only one.
I think I'm gonna go off a tangent just a little bit here and say that when
I caught you off guard there.
No, because this is exactly like my relationship with baking opera, which is completely off topic, but I really just want to, we're like, because we're not part of the culture, we want to learn because it makes us feel closer to the culture. I mean, I've had this conversation with a lot of teachers from Peking Opera, a lot of performers. They said that, we do have foreign students, and that's because sometimes they appreciate that because it's not theirs, and so they want to be part of it.
So
it's just like between quotation marks.
Yeah.
We've been talking a lot about my experience, Myrna's experience, and your experience at a certain point. I know that the tours that you do go both ways. Yeah. So we've spoken about city folks going to the village. Tell me about, because this is something that I'm excited about. Tell me about when villagers or like young villagers go to the cities. Can you tell me about
villagers go to cities? Yeah.
Because I think it must open their minds to new things.
Yeah, broaden their horizons. Yeah, we brought the city teenagers to the rural kids to the cities. Yeah, to not only to see some fancy jobs, the skyscrapers or the investment bankings or consulting firms like.
Yeah.
We also took them to the supermarkets to sell agricultural products to make a living.
Okay.
Yeah, so they see a city in its real life. And maybe the most moving stories changed me a lot is that the first time I bring a girl from Daliangshan.
Oh, okay. Daliangshan is also Sichuan province.
To Chengdu. On the first day, on her first breakfast, she cried.
Okay.
Yeah, we were so surprised why she cried.
Yeah. Well, why did she?
Yeah, we joked that if you want to cry, if you are moved, you should cry at the end.
At the end,
not
at the beginning.
Not at the beginning.
Yeah.
But she said that is because she ate a steamed dumpling. She ate a steamed dumpling at breakfast. She has never imagined that there are so much meat in that steamed dumpling.
Oh, wow.
In the year of 2018.
2018, yeah.
2018.
Yeah.
And then we go back to her high school in Daliangshan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and her English teacher met us and also cried.
Okay. Well, that's quite the emotional journey that you had there.
Yeah, again, we were so shocked and we were so surprised. Then we asked her why she cried.
Yeah.
The teacher said because she has taught English for 5 years in this high school and nobody cares about that. Nobody asked her any English questions after the class. But this time when our students come back, they intentionally to learn English.
Yeah.
They try to bring other students to learn English. So she was so moved.
I think you said it was a life-changing experience for you to go.
Yeah.
And I think it really is. It works both ways.
It
I
does.
mean, listening to what Xingyu is saying about like the little girl who had her eyes opened about like, let's say, food, but also the students who went back and wanted to learn English. I think, you know, you're planting a seed in them, because I think maybe throughout their life, no one had given them the hope that they can go somewhere else, like to have that mobility, you know, from the rural areas to the cities. And the fact that you took their hand and you showed them that, I think that perhaps really changed their world. And I think that personally, you know, a lot of times kids don't know what they want until like you open their eyes to it, especially with education, because we know specifically in Daliangshan, having been there on multiple occasions pre-2020, that
it's like a time travel to them.
The level of poverty is really real, and there's so many reasons for that extreme poverty that they had, and they didn't ever think perhaps that education is a key to them, as a tool to liberate themselves from the shackles of poverty. And the fact that they saw what's in the city, it's something for them to aspire to, I would assume. It's something, it puts a dream, a vision on like in the future for them. And so the fact that like the teacher said, oh, now they're interested in learning another language because that, you know, could help them. I think that is very beautiful. And the thing is, there are so many talents in rural areas. There's so many talents that are just waiting to be discovered, that are waiting to be nourished. I remember in Daliangshan specifically, on my second time, again, just before 2020 ended, I was sitting in the community center in the village, which is at the top of the mountain, and it was very cold outside, so we were huddling next to like a heater. Me with two kids. It was like a down moment. We weren't filming actually, and so I was living with them. And one of the poverty alleviation officials gave us a little book. So we were just like flipping through that book, and it was astrology book, and so it was about planets and about the sun. And I was asking specifically one of the kids, who eventually made it on the cover image of the video.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it was by pure chance. And I was asking him questions thinking that, okay, he might not know. So I was trying to keep my questions very simple, like how many moons the Earth have. And the kid was able to answer all of these questions and more. And it blew my mind that this kid, who he was like maybe 7, 8 years old, lived his entire life in rural areas, goes to a school by walking. He walks 7 kilometers to go to school on the mountains. And the fact that he knows these things, they just need, like, they're like flowers. You just need to like water them. And
they're full of curiosities. Especially for the rural kids. They're full of curiosities, and they have lots of the motivations to learn the things outside. So you can just show them more. and that will change.
So you've spoken, Myrna, about music conservation
Yes.
in Sichuan, but you've also witnessed another element, because we've spoken about education with Xingyu, we've spoken about like music, like preservation and cultural preservation. In your trip to Tibet, we both actually went on to Tibet. You told me that you experienced a different side of rural revitalization at a tea
Yes.
plantation.
Fun fact, like I'm Arab Chinese, but I don't really like tea. Like, I don't really
which is a
treat
shocker to like
I don't really
the
like
fact
tea
that like
much.
because
You prefer
Arabs
coffee, yeah.
because Arabs love tea, Chinese love
like
tea.
tea.
The
But-
fact that she has both DNA in and she, yeah.
But you love coffee.
I do. I love
I
coffee.
plant coffee.
You plant coffee.
Yeah, we plant coffee.
Okay,
yeah.
so here we have a potential buyer.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
have
yeah,
a
yeah,
seller.
yeah.
Let's
Customer.
let's exchange
support
numbers.
for the rules. Yeah, we went to Xizang,
Yeah.
and then we saw these beautiful green fields, and we were like, "Is that tea?" And I was like, "There's no way tea is that beautiful, like a tea field, absolutely like shining green, green." And then we entered, and then we went with the guy who was lovely, and he told us how to pick the leaves. I thought the entire process was fantastic.
So that
But
was
I
part of like their tourism.
I was like, but
attraction?
what if like people just come and like walk around them or
Hmm.
something? He said no. He said this is a tourist attraction, but they have made it so popular that there's a specific road. Like they
Okay.
opened a road in the middle of the field, and then it leads to a little hut where people can take like what we call popular picture spots. And people come here just to take pictures of the beautiful fields, and if they would like, they could try picking the leaves and getting the whole process on how to make tea.
Okay.
But that is the balance that I saw there, where they preserve the nature,
Yeah.
but they also keep the tourism building. So it's like
So they
economically
tried to
related.
cash in on that because, you know, if let's say if there's environmental degradation, then there wouldn't be tea, then there
Yeah.
wouldn't be tourists.
Yeah.
So they tried to find like that.
But there's always a balance.
Yeah.
Like sometimes maybe people would want more tourism, but that might hurt the natural
The natural.
locations.
Okay.
But they made it so well. They made it so beautifully. And the way they preserve the tea, the way they make Xizang tea, it's quite world famous, I would say. People all know like the tea benefits from
So
Tibetan tea.
what's the story with your coffee then?
I'm
So-
intrigued
so
too.
we've spoken about tea. What's the story about coffee? Tell us.
Yeah,
Tell
we
us
planted
more.
coffee in Yunnan Pu'er.
Okay.
Yeah, you know that we only plant coffee in Yunnan province and the Hainan province in
Yeah.
China.
Love Hainan coffee.
Yeah, and then we are trying to we are trying to upgrade the industry. Before we come, they only sell coffee beans, but
Yeah.
now they sell coffee.
Okay. So you're trying to like help them
Establish
with like
a
added
factory,
value. Okay.
yeah, establish some factories here, and actually, the people who plant coffee in Yunnan, they don't drink coffee
Okay.
for like 20 years.
So why were they doing it then?
Because nobody told them this can drink.
Oh, so what are they?
Oh.
So what were they doing with it? Were they selling it?
They're just selling that. They're
Okay.
just selling coffee beans.
Also, they didn't know exactly
Yeah.
what
Like
to
how to
do with
mold
that.
what
it
to
or-
do with that.
Okay.
And a fun story that once we invite Granny
Okay.
to drink a cup of coffee.
Did she come with her grandson?
Oh, I didn't mention that. Maybe I should ask. And then Granny have a like nasty face.
Like, she didn't like it.
Yeah, she don't like it. She don't like it. But she asked a very fun story, a very fun question. That
Okay.
Is this very nutritious? Because that's so bad.
Oh.
It tastes so bad.
Like it's so bitter.
Yeah.
So it's so bitter. So it is very nutritious. Is it good for our body?
And the answer is yeah.
No, nobody have think about this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she thinks that it is bitter.
So it has to be
why-
nutritious. Yeah.
yeah, it has to be.
But they didn't
nutritious.
know.
But they didn't know.
So how are they receiving this knowledge that you're giving them or you're facilitating to give them? Because you said that they grew beans, they didn't even know what they were for.
Yeah.
Now, not only do they know what they're for, they're actually trying to do the actual product.
Yeah.
So you're sort of, first of all, if I like, you're industrializing the coffee plantation business there.
Yeah.
And so how are they
And
what is their attitude towards that new knowledge?
Yeah.
Like, are they willing to learn, or do they are?
I think they're willing to learn because if they drink coffee, then they will plant coffee with more maybe care, maybe more sincere to plant coffee.
Okay.
And maybe in Vietnam, in Laos, people plant coffee, they drink coffee.
Yeah.
But now here in China, if people plant coffee, they don't drink coffee, then how can we have very high quality coffee?
Okay.
Yeah.
That just sounds like music to my ears. Is it Yunnan?
Yunnan.
You just heard coffee.
I just heard coffee and I'm like, I'm going.
And so how can we bring Myrna to actually buy the coffee from Yunnan?
Yeah, we have some live streamings like this. Yeah.
Okay.
And we also have some e-commerce channels.
E-commerce.
Okay, e-commerce channels.
I'll tune in. I'm a big fan of e-commerce shopping.
I know you are.
E-commerce shopping is my thing.
Tell us more about this, because literally we were talking about e-commerce, and it's a big business in China. You know, like for a few years now, China has been the leader in e-commerce, and we're seeing the same model becoming a global phenomenon right now. We're also seeing, you know, the people in rural areas also participating in e-commerce, because before it was like in some studio people are selling products. Now it's right on the field. At the field, you have the villagers selling their produce live immediately to people like me, Myrna. I'm not gonna say you because I know you live in the village.
He tastes them fresh firsthand.
So e-commerce is obviously doing its thing because it's opening new markets for them. It's putting them directly with consumers. Are you doing anything on that front as well?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
We focus on the tourism nowadays.
Okay.
Yeah, but maybe later we will try some.
You can branch out.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've already started like building facilities, then you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about you, Myrna?
E-commerce is big. I
Okay.
mean, it's a very fun way for shopping, I might say. But when I'm scrolling online, for example, and I see this beautiful field and a woman talking about, like, let's say, very fresh strawberries, I'd want to keep watching. I'd want to be like, oh, okay, I'd like to have those. And they became so popular these years that I feel like a lot of different rural areas in China are quite popular online for selling their traditional products or the fresh domestic products that they give away. And I think that is a way for them to, I mean, I'm sure they're better businessmen right now just because learning e-commerce than actual people who went to business school.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like, you know, they're learning practical knowledge first.
Yeah.
And again, it's for them because I'm guessing for the most part, they were just farmers. And now they're becoming something more than just like a farmer, like not just a laborer.
Yeah.
They're becoming, for example, a
their
live
way-
streamer.
it's their way
becoming
of,
a
like,
business person. They know how to send orders. They know how to receive orders. And so I'm guessing that is making them become more multifaceted than just.
Yeah, it changed a lot. Please have a guess. How much is 1 kilogram of the coffee beans in the field?
How much it costs?
Yeah, how much did it cost?
Just as a bean?
1 kilogram
Of coffee
beans,
beans?
of coffee beans.
In China?
Yeah, in China.
In Yunnan?
Yeah. And I can give you a comparison that a 1 kilogram of coffee beans can make 400 grams of coffee.
Okay.
And that means 30 cups.
Okay.
30 cups of
Oh, well, you've done your math.
coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you in Beijing, 1 cup of coffee costs like 20.
28 to 36, 37.
30,
Depends on.
35. I mean,
Yeah.
if you go for like Luckin, it's gonna be cheaper than that. But yeah, let's say Starbucks, for example, it's around 30
38,
kwai.
36.
30
yeah.
kwai, so it's worth like 900.
Yeah.
900 yuan.
Yeah, for 400 grams.
Yeah, for 400 grams.
30 cups,
Yeah, and it's can come from 1 kilograms of coffee beans.
Yes.
Yeah, so how much is 1 kilogram of coffee beans in the field? Take a guess.
1,000?
I don't think it's 1,000.
1,500?
I think
No.
it's definitely much less.
Yeah, in the market, it's 900 yuan.
That's how much I'm willing to pay for coffee.
Oh wow! Listen, I'm giving you a customer here. You should.
Best customer.
How much
I'm
is
gonna
it?
say like 120 yuan. It costs.
No,
No, too low.
too high.
Too
high?
high?
Too high.
What was I
Dude.
thinking?
You tell me. How much?
50?
5
5?
5 yuan.
What do you mean 5?
Wow.
5 yuan for coffee beans. 1 kilogram of coffee beans. and it can make 400 grams of coffee,
which
and
in
turn
you take them to Starbucks and then you make 30 cups, and then you're selling them. So look how much profit they're making
Oh my god.
on the shoulders of the villagers. And so
why
what are
the
you telling the
live stream?
villagers? Are you telling them to like bring the prices up, or like
Yeah, we're trying to make coffee ourselves and
Yeah.
trying to use e-commerce or live streams to
because
sell it
the
directly.
moment you push the beans into the production like chain to become coffee, then the numbers immediately go higher, right? Because from coffee beans to actually
much higher.
like, coffee ground.
And we are invite you to come to our village
Yes.
to take a cup of coffee. Yeah.
I most certainly
Watch us
would.
in our next live stream. We're going to be in that
This
village.
is it. I'm gonna look at whichever camera it is, and I'm gonna say that next time you see us, it will be Myrna and I and Xingyu in Yunnan tasting the coffee.
Tasting
Tasting
coffee.
and picking coffee beans.
You want to pick as well?
I want to
coffee.
be
I just
part
want to
of
go
the
for
process.
tourism. I want to go for education.
Let me. You know, this whole conversation reminded me of a Chinese phrase that says, 家事千 no, how does it go? 家事千万国 no.
家事千万国。
不是
This was
Basically,
not
I don't
rehearsed.
remember how it used to be said in Chinese,
not rehearsed.
but the meaning is a home is a very tiny cell of a nation, but a nation consists of all these homes. So each
homes.
person in his own home is using his way or her way to push forward, making like the economics better, to introduce his home to the world, and that's what makes the country stronger, because each home is pushing their own method to make the country stronger.
Wow. I mean, to go from coffee beans to this, I have to salute you, Myrna. I mean, you know how to put a spin on it.
When I remember the Chinese phrase, I'll just throw it in the middle of the live stream, yeah.
Okay, well, speaking about live streams, we're not only...
家是最小国，国是千万家.
Oh, here you
Have
go.
it.
I knew
I
you
was
will
thinking
not...
it. It's just too many different words
She
in
will
my
not
head.
quit, because I know how your brain works. Like, she will not quit until she gets it right, and you got it right. You redeemed yourself.
Thank you.
Speaking about live streams, we're speaking about e-commerce, and part of e-commerce is not just having online shops, but it's also doing live streams. And we're also seeing live stream as, you know, as that industry. We're seeing a lot of rural content, you know, on social media right now.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that I am a fan of a couple of content creators from, I think it was Jiangxi province, and then another from Shandong.
I feel like I know who you like.
Where they just cook at their home, and you know, they're villagers. And for me, I feel like it feels familiar to me, even though I was born in the city and I stayed, you know, born and bred in the city. But it just feels familiar to me because there's like this homey feeling where if you compare it to someone who's just going out and about on international travels, which feels a little bit far-fetched, personally speaking.
Fair.
So what is your experiences with like rural live streaming? Like, I mean, I know that you yourself is a content creator. I've watched your videos. Me and hundreds of thousands of others.
Famous.
Yeah.
A million, yeah. We have a million followers on the internet.
Yeah, say it out loud. Say it out loud. I mean, do not be shy about it.
Yeah, but maybe it's not because we create the very, very fun contents. I think it's all about that. Most people in Chinese, if you trace their ancestry, maybe back to the 3 generations, we are all born and raised in the village. So we have this nostalgia.
Yeah.
Nostalgia.
Nostalgia, yeah. We have this nostalgia. So people, so people love this live streaming in the countryside.
It vibes with it.
Makes them feel homey.
Is that what it feels like for you as well? Because it feels to me as well. Like I'm not even Chinese, and I just like I look at these like, you know, like older women doing these dishes, and I'm like, oh, like
these dishes in these live stream, I feel like pull us back down to earth. Sometimes living in big cities and we see all different types of things and people and dishes, and then you go back and you see the simplicity of people cooking the homemade dish, which is the most heartwarming feeling, I would say.
It feels like it's something different than just consumption.
And it introduces you to like beautiful backgrounds and stuff I've never seen. Maybe.
Yeah. You know, I feel like a lot of content creators these days, you know, they take you places or like they unbox stuff.
Yeah.
It's all related to materialism. Whereas I feel like maybe with the rural content creators, it's more of like, here's my land. Here's how I make.
I've seen videos how they cook like intense stuff, like different types of cake and like steak, but in the entire like scenario of being in a village.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how does that differ than cooking a steak at a restaurant?
I don't know. They use like really like their own like I'll send you the link later.
Okay. And so your videos, because in a lot of your videos you talk about your story, and your story in the village. And one thing that I wanted to ask you is, because China moves at a China speed, so China moves very fast, and you've been doing this for 6 years because you established your enterprise in 2017.
Yeah.
What changes have you seen in the Chinese countryside over the past 6 years? Because that's a long period of time, and sometimes things can change in a couple of months.
Yeah.
So imagine what 7 years, you've studying this for 7 years. Tell me.
Yeah, a lot have changed. A lot of stuff that have changed in these 6 years. Yeah. Yeah, maybe before the poverty alleviation time. Yeah. People are always chasing the numbers to make more money. Yeah, to have more better housing or something like that. But after the time of the rural revitalization. Nowadays I find that people are care more about the relationships. The relationships with their maybe local people, the relationships with the natural, with the nature, the relationships maybe with the people outside, the relationship with the next generations. Yeah. So nowadays I find that in the village of China, the villagers, they're thinking more about future, and they are more confident than the poverty alleviation time.
You think that there's a change in mentality, the mentality about, the fact that they could change, or like
for themselves.
The living standards, just because they've been like that for generations, that doesn't mean that they have to stay constant, and then there could be like an improvement.
Yeah, they're more eager to change their lives.
Okay.
Yeah, and the very first time I bring the rural city kids to the rural areas, maybe they don't have windows, and they are lived in a house with some
like actual windows.
Yeah. No actual windows. Maybe they only have papers to cover the wind. Yeah, but when I bring the city kids to the rural areas to go to their homes, they intentionally to make their home better. Yeah, they even maybe they brought some like tatami style beds.
Okay.
Yeah, to welcome the friends outside.
Okay. So because now they have guests, is that why? So it's the same here. Like whenever you have guests, you try to like clean out clean the house, or like let's just put the dirty laundry away and like wipe immediately.
That's like an Arab culture when we say like a guest is God's guest. Like we have to give you our best.
And so that like the fact that you're facilitating more people coming in for this exchange of experiences, because I think both are winning from this, right? Because I mean it's always been like, it's aid and help for the village, and so it's sort of like the villagers are just recipient of that help, whereas with your formula,
now they're the hosts and maybe they're the educators.
So there's like that mutual learning experience. So I think that sort of changes the balance of power. Where like
definitely.
They're at equal footing, right? Like it's not just like anyone who's...
They both have something to share.
We need to wrap up a little bit, but before we finish, I want to talk about something that we haven't brought up, which is not only did you go to the Chinese countryside, Miss Myrna, you also went and had volunteering experiences in Indonesia. And not in cities, but in the countryside.
The countryside.
So tell me more about that experience. Why did you choose to go to Indonesia of all places?
18 or 19, I was stressing from school, as a young person, getting anxiety and stress from everywhere. And I felt very negative. Like I felt like my energy was negative. And I've heard that if you share some love and positivity, maybe you'll feel better. But I felt like I was covered in negativity. And then I saw a chance online that said you can go teach English in some rural areas of Indonesia. And I was like, I'll try it. I like Indonesia. Let's do that. I went there. It was just like off the head decision. Like I didn't think too much about it. I went. I saw the kids, they taught me their language, I taught them English. It was when I was teaching, there was like chickens near me. It felt so nice to a sense that I was like, I felt everything negative inside me leave. I was teaching them English, but I didn't feel like I had anything to offer them. I felt like their reactions, their laughter, their happiness when they saw me, it all filled me up so much. And until this day, I still remember it.
I mean, I think there's so much to be said about human interactions. Yes. Once you like drop that, oh, I'm from the city, I'm from the village, and you just like talk to people like human to human.
Yeah.
Even if like
different languages, they're kids, so we didn't really know how to communicate. But every time they saw me, we would just give each other like huge hugs.
Yeah.
And then that filled my heart so much.
And so, what differences did you see between the Chinese countryside and the Indonesian countryside? Obviously, you went there at two different times of your life, but like, were there any similarities or any differences that you've noticed?
A similarity that I've loved is that people in the village life there and in the village life here, like I said earlier, they love the simplicity and they're very proud of their culture. So in Indonesia, they have different tribes. So that was when I went, they were very proud of their products, of their dances. Same as when I went to Sichuan, they were welcoming me with their dances. So I thought using your own culture and being super proud of it is something that's really inspiring for me. But one difference I would say is that, well, China is really big. So a lot of different cities, a lot of different villages are trying to like urbanize and industrialize and stuff like that. But I think in Indonesia, they're still keeping the way of like the agriculture and stuff like that, which is mutual as well. But I would think Indonesia's villages are similar to some villages in China, but different than others because it's a huge country.
Maybe
China is a big country.
Yeah. Maybe this is because the speed of the urbanization is so fast here in China. We have the ratio of the urbanization about 60%. Yeah, and it will reach like 75% maybe in 5 or 10 days. 5 or 10 years.
5 or 10 days. I was like, oh, let's hurry up. Okay, 5 to 10 years. Okay.
5 to 10 years. Yeah.
And then you've also had experiences because we know that you went to like NYU to study, so you've visited the U.S. Have you visited the countryside in the U.S. or in any other places?
Yeah, I visit countryside in the United States, and I have also been an exchange student in Finland, in Helsinki. In Finland, Helsinki.
Okay.
And there I find that people's lives in the countryside is, I envy them a lot.
Okay.
How
so?
Yeah, the household is so beautiful, and I find that many young people, they live in the countryside and they go to work, maybe in some factories or large-scale farms, and they only shop in the city, in the urban area, and their lives are, I think their lives are so natural and valuable.
Are there any experiences that you've seen outside that you think might fit some villages in China?
Yeah, actually, I think that maybe some countryside, maybe in the of the big cities, like the countryside of Beijing or countryside of Shanghai, it has this trend of the counter-urbanization. Yeah, many young people are trying to move outside. Yeah, to have maybe a large household. Yeah, to live a more exciting life.
I think we have seen this actually in the past couple of years, and we're seeing more and more youngsters doing it. You mentioned big cities, and I could totally see this in like, the I wouldn't say maybe rural areas in Beijing, but like suburban areas, somewhere very far away from the center of the city where we are. Yeah. You have nice houses,
nice parks,
a lot of greenery, cheaper prices, and on top of that, you're within like an hour drive from the city, so it's not like you're very far away, even though it's a world apart. So I think more and more like young people are doing that. Not everyone, because I personally, for example,
city guy.
Oh.
So I wouldn't do it personally, but I will happily go to Yunnan to have that cup of coffee with Myrna. She's gonna go by, like she's gonna bring a suitcase and
right outside.
But before we finish, we have a few comments online which I would like to hear, to read, and then hear your opinion about it. One of the commenters said, I feel the content has a calming nature in contrast to the city life that most of us lead. It provides a window for us to see the beauty of a simpler life where people have skills that most of us city folks don't have. Do you agree with that thing, you?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah. So welcome all the city folks to come to the village.
I definitely think that
to
like
have a vacation.
Where are they going?
City people don't have like I don't want to generalize, but honestly, like when you're in a village, you depend a lot on nature. You depend on like a set of skills to have like physical skills. So I think that could come in handy. Do you think that the village life in the past 7 years changed you, seeing you having lived in like Shanghai as a city and then lived abroad?
Actually, I was born in the suburb of Shanghai.
Okay.
so I don't define myself as a city guy.
Okay.
Yeah, but it actually living in the village can cure you a lot. Maybe can escape you from the stress. Yeah.
Brings in a lot of positivity, indeed.
Definitely. I'm gonna read one more, which is about actually Li Ziqi and the Jianxi. Someone was saying that, actually, she's a Chinese American woman who watches a lot of Chinese travel vlogs. She loves China and plans to travel this year to China to study Qigong.
Qigong.
Yeah. She says that she watches Li Ziqi and Dianxi. Their rural living skill sets are amazing, which I have to agree, because is there anything that Li Ziqi does not know how to do?
No.
I mean,
No.
She
knows everything.
she
has a degree. She looks like she has a degree in everything.
She fantasized the countryside, the lively countryside.
I think so. I think if we were talking about rural live streaming, I think she was one of the pioneers in that. But her idea of the rural life was a little bit different than what reality is, because she had like a polished version of it. And for our audiences who don't know who Li Ziqi is, we're going to show a video right now, a short video about Li Ziqi and rural content across China. So let's watch a little bit, and then we'll talk a little bit about the rural content, since one of our commenters commented about it.
7年前呢，我回到了家乡，拿起了摄影机，通过短视频的方式记录乡村里平凡而又美好的一切事物。想把乡村里平常的劳作、朴实的食材、自然的声音和你我儿时那份关于乡村深深的记忆、淡淡的乡愁，都尽量用唯美的方式呈现给大家。希望能通过这种方式换回大家对美好乡村幸福的向往，以及对乡村发展的关注。而如今呢，互联网已然成为了新时代的新农具，也有大量的新农人踊跃地加入乡村振兴，并取得了丰硕的成果。那么在未来，我也会继续坚持用自己的方式带来更多优质内容，传播好中国传统农耕文化，讲好中国乡村故事。
So we see the difference in the two content types. Li Ziqi was the one who started that idealistic, like something that is dreamlike. It's like very poetic, very romantic. And it really vibed well, not just with viewers in China, but also viewers outside China. Like her YouTube channel has like, I think 4, 5, 6 millions like followers. And so there's definitely a demand for such content.
Nature is eye-catchy.
People didn't even know that I never knew that I could vibe well with, content from an environment that is so completely different to what I've been brought up. And then you have the second one, which is now all the rage, all the hype, as is the name of our show, which is like more authentic, down to earth, real life. Which one do you guys like? Like, which one speaks more to you?
I personally prefer the second one, because the cooking method and like the way he was holding the wok and everything, that was skill.
Okay.
I quite liked it. And I personally, I think food videos always capture everybody.
I'm just watching for the hairstyle, to be honest. What about you, Xingyu?
I prefer Li Ziqi.
Oh, you prefer Li Ziqi.
Because the second style is my life.
Oh, so he wants a little bit of escapism. Yeah. We actually asked our audiences in the lead up to today's live stream, why do they think these rural content or live streams are getting popular in China? And we've given them 4 options. I think the number one most voted option is this is the type of life that they yearn to have. This is their like
Ideal
life
life.
goals. And the second one is this reminds them of childhood, and this is nostalgic.
Nostalgia.
That's what
He
he
said,
said,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then the third one is it's interesting and it's novel and it's relaxing. And so I guess we all feel the same. It would be difficult for me to choose one. If I could, I would say that, like seeing you, that it feels familiar. It might not be familiar to me because I didn't grow up in the village, but I'm pretty sure my ancestors did.
Yeah.
My great-grandfather,
Yeah,
perhaps.
it's in your DNA. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
they all connect to us, but probably at different parts of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe like right now it's not, let's say, where I want to go. It's not like my dream life at this age, but give it a few years, that might just be my dream life.
Yeah.
When I want like less from the city and more peace and more calm.
And hopefully by then, because at the beginning you were telling me about like villages changing in the future.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that once it comes to your turn, then you know,
Coffee will be everywhere.
coffee
Coffee
will
will
be
be everywhere.
I'll wake up smelling coffee in the air.
hopefully. I guess with this we come to the end of our show. I want to have I want to have each one of you just send a message to any young person, you know, watching us right now. Is there anything that you would tell them to try to entice them to come to the village? Obviously, you know, not everyone would want to do that, but you know, if you were to promote the village style,
The village.
yeah, like a rural lifestyle, what would you say? Like if you speak from the heart.
Yeah. To entice more people to come to the village.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I will say that you will have the sunshine and you will have the stars in the village.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going back. We're making a loop back to the first keywords that we mentioned. Great use of that,
They didn't use fruit or like fresh.
because you can find fruits in the supermarkets in
True.
big cities. What about you? How
Me, I would say
folk music?
Folk
I would
music.
say go to a village, because each village hides a treasure, and I'm sure every encounter you have there, whether it's with the people or with the
Grandson.
nature or with the grandson.
With the grandson.
yeah.
Grandson, oh.
Thank you. It'll be something memorable and life changing, I bet.
I subscribe to that. So I second you in what you said. I genuinely think that once we get out of comfort zone, once we put ourselves out there, I think a lot of magic happens. And I
Yes.
think that for people who are in China, they know what a city what a city life is like. And so maybe do a little bit of a detour and then go to you know, villages or places that are less traveled, off the beaten track. And honestly, like, you'll definitely want to stay for the people, if not the views.
The hospitality
Yeah.
and the warmth.
With this, we come to the end of our first episode of The Hype, where we discuss things that are all the hype. Thank you for Wang Xingyu for being here, for traveling all the way from Yunnan without bringing the coffee next time. And Myrna El Nasser, show host. And yeah, I thank you so much for being very open and transparent about your experiences in the
Always
village.
fun to share. I always hope to share the right stories.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This was all from us, and we will definitely see you in a different episode from The Hype. Thank you so much, and bye-bye from Beijing.
Bye. Good job, Najima.
Oh, you. Good job, everyone.
Good job,
Thank you
Najima.
so much. I'm sorry if I put you on a blast on anything.